Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Athletes in Practice. My name is Marquez White. I'm a recent Princeton graduate, a pre-med student, and currently a professional lacrosse player for the San Diego Seals. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Joey Fiske, a former Division I baseball player at St. Mary's, where he was a four-year starter. He attended medical school at Touro University College of Osteopathic Medicine in Northern California, and he is now an orthopedic surgery resident at the Riverside University Health System. Dr. Fiske, thank you so much for joining us today. I would love to start to hear about maybe your story in terms of being recruited to go play Division I baseball, and then kind of how it started to lead into your journey into medicine.
Yeah, so essentially I played baseball, football at Poway. I got recruited by one team to play, I guess, college baseball. And
Mhm.
really what I was picking between was going to Cal Poly and not playing at all, and then going to St. Mary's and playing baseball, majoring in biology. So honestly, it was kind of two different career life paths. It
Yeah.
was engineering at Cal Poly, no sports, nothing like that, or biology and playing college baseball at St. Mary's, and it was a walk-on opportunity. So, I there was no guarantee that I was even really going to make the team.
What about when you were deciding between going into study biology as an undergrad versus engineering at Cal Poly? What drew you towards wanting to do medicine?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing for me that made me want to do medicine in the first place, one of my teammates in high school, his dad was a cardiologist over at Scripps. And so found out his dad is a cardiologist, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I might be interested in medicine. So I
Hmm.
was able to shadow him, and I remember just seeing him do like a bunch of basically cardiac catheterizations where they basically put a catheter up through the leg, kind of map out the heart and ablate a part of the heart tissue that was causing the arrhythmia or something like that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then he
Yeah.
brought me into another room and he's like, oh, yeah, I'll just drop you off here with this other surgeon. And it was like open heart surgery, like just big midline incision. I was standing on the stool,
Oh,
looking straight in the patient's heart. I was like, this is absolutely insane. Like, this is so cool. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to do something medicine related. So after that, I was like dead set on it. But the decision for Cal Poly versus St. Mary's was really more driven by baseball and the fact that I
mhm.
could major in biology, which was more of a step towards the direction of medicine. It honestly was the perfect fit for me, and it ended up working out great. And I wouldn't change a thing, but definitely more of a difficult decision at the time. And looking back, would have was the easiest decision of my life.
Yeah, it seems like being a walk-on isn't the easiest place to be in, especially stepping onto campus on your first day. We had a bunch of walk-ons on our team, and a lot of them ended up playing and getting minutes. And, they were also the best guys in the locker room. So really love the walk-ons that were able to join our team. Uh, but, think through getting to know them, it certainly takes a kind of grit to show up, not be guaranteed a spot, and then find your way onto the field. And then for you to have such a successful collegiate career as well, could you tell me a little bit about what it was like being a walk-on and if you took anything away from that experience?
Yeah, so when I got there, things just started to work out for me. Like I just kind of put my head down and tried to, show up every day, play as well as I could, and it all worked out. I ended up starting all 4 years there. Got a scholarship my junior year, and yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
I think a lot of what you're saying of do these attributes that these athletes have carry over to like the outside world, carry over into medicine? They 100% do. And that's honestly, I would attribute a lot of where I'm at now to what I learned as an athlete, and not just like, the physical playing of either lacrosse or baseball or stuff like that, but you really do learn a lot from like the time management, leadership, those kinds of things from sports. And when you get to the real world, you kind of see that not everyone has these attributes. And
Mm.
I don't understand how, uh, you know, we learn all these things, you get there and it's like these things just come natural to you. Like you wouldn't be where you're at if you didn't have them. And you get there and there's some people that just don't have these little things and you're like, you don't even realize it because you're always surrounded by other people that are in the same boat as you. Like,
Yeah.
show really work hard, kind of put in
Mhm.
extra time into what you're trying to do outside of just the, working to take it, getting extra reps after practice, that kind of thing, instead of just like showing up, being present, and then going home. So
Yeah.
a lot of what you learn does carry over.
Dr. Fisk, it is so cool to hear you say that. And that is exactly what we're trying to share here at Athletes in Practice. So I hope that anyone that's watching this can kind of resonate with your story and see how the discipline and the grit that they're developing right now as athletes, what you developed when you were an athlete, is ultimately going to pay off when they are pursuing a field where those traits are really necessary. Now, just a quick follow-up and kind of wrapping up your college career. Were there any prospects of playing baseball after college?
Yeah, so kind of at the end of my college career, I had talked to a bunch of scouts about like getting drafted. Didn't necessarily play as well my junior year. Was kind of battling through an injury. Sorry, didn't play as well my senior year. Was battling through an injury, and at the end of my senior year, ended up getting surgery. So at that point, it was another decision of do I want to try to recover, play like independent ball, maybe get picked up and try to, go for the dream that way? Or do I want to start putting, everything that I had worked for outside of baseball into trying to get into med school and doing what I wanted to do? And so I ended up making the decision to stop playing. And after I got surgery, recovered all that, then was kind of in the boat that you're in right now. Studied for the MCAT, took the MCAT, and then applied that cycle, and
Nice.
fortunately it worked out for me. It kind of helped knowing that that's what I wanted to do after it was all said and done too.
Mm.
Uh,
I might be repeating myself, but again, it is such a cool story to hear that you were showing up on campus without a guaranteed spot on your college team. And then you started all 4 years, had the prospects of playing professional baseball. That is just an accomplishment in itself. Obviously, you decided to pursue the medical route and you were super successful through medical school. And now you're an orthopedic surgery resident. Congratulations, by the way. Could you share how you decided to get into orthopedics?
Basically, how I kind of figured out what I wanted to do was we for baseball they kind of send you to these different summer teams. Um, like different summer college baseball
Yeah,
teams. And I got sent to Santa Barbara, which was awesome. But
nice. Yeah, good spot.
one of our team doctors, an orthopedic surgeon out there, and I just went up to him and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I shadow you like kind of outside of playing?" He's like, "Yeah, that's awesome. You're the only the only person that's ever asked me to do that." So I would go watch some of his surgeries. He's a sports medicine doctor out there too. So he was doing like rotator cuff repairs, ACL reconstructions, those kinds of things. And I was like, this is great. Like this is the connection that I had already had an interest in going to medical school and doing all that, but that was
Mhm.
like the connection of this is the combination between my passion for sports and my passion for medicine. Like I could be the one that, helps take care of all these athletes, helps get them back to playing. And I thought that was awesome. So at that point, that's what I was like, that's what I want to do.
It
So
sounds like sports really fully guided like your career towards, I guess, more specific what you're doing now, as an
exactly,
orthopedic resident. Wow, I mean, it's really cool how intertwined that is. I feel like that makes it more special. Kind of feels that passion as you continue on.
exactly. And, so fast forward, you got in, which I think is going to be the hardest part for anyone applying to med school, is it's so competitive trying to just get in. Uh,
Mhm.
and that was always like the biggest concern for me was that I didn't have like all of the extracurriculars because when you're playing,
Mhm. Yeah,
college sports, like you're literally you have a full-time job
yeah,
in baseball, playing lacrosse, and then you're also going to college, undergrad on top of that. So like you have essentially negative hours in the day to take care of all that. Uh, I still remember there was one lady that came and talked to us and about time management as a college athlete. She's like, "Oh yeah, so you have your classes, and they say every hour that you spend in class, you should spend another hour outside of class studying." And so I did the math in between like all of the classes that I had and the labs plus baseball. I had like negative hours in the day to take care of all that. So it was a lot of like, oh, this is going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but it
Mm.
takes a lot of, consistently putting the effort in, managing your time and that kind of thing to, make it that far.
I will say it sounds like you were really successful in that. I looked up a little your stats and stuff beforehand. West Coast Conference All Academic team is pretty impressive, making sure you were getting everything done outside of the baseball field. So I just wanted to point that out that like you were really putting in the work outside of the baseball field. I guess that kind of leads me to a question that I have for you. Do you see that determination, that same passion you had for baseball, is that like reflective of a drive, determination that you have towards being a successful surgeon?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess where you're at with like the whole applying to MD versus DO schools too.
Mm,
I ended up going to a DO program, and it's very much geared towards like getting a lot of these medical students towards primary care.
mm,
And then so it just makes it a little bit more difficult when you're applying. If you don't want to do primary care and you want to do like a more competitive specialty, it makes it a little bit more challenging. And so applying as a DO to orthopedics, I think our year, like 50% of the people that applied for orthopedics actually matched into ortho. So
wow.
on top of that, it's already extremely competitive. And I think, it was the same mindset that I had going into college is like, I have to, you kind of have to put your nose into it, keep going, and do whatever you can to make sure that you're going to be the one that at the end of the day is chosen. So it's, it's just as cutthroat further on down the line as it is where you're at right now. So it never changes. But I think the cool thing is now that I'm here, like there's a couple other people in our program that played college sports. One actually played baseball at USC. And then I worked with another guy that played baseball at BYU. So it ends up being a small world. And especially
Yeah.
for this specialty too, like you see a lot of athletes because one, it's the same crossover of like they're interested in sports, they're interested in medicine, but
Mm.
it's also shows you how much of an impact that athletics has on shaping you as a person and getting you to this point in your career too.
Yeah, so what's residency been like? Could you share maybe like what year you are in your residency, maybe a couple experiences that you've had so far?
Like I'm in my first year of residency, so not as much like operating just yet. You kind of take baby steps into that. Like my
Mm.
second year, I'll do a little bit more, and then like third, fourth, fifth year of residency is when you do a lot of the operating. But the biggest thing right now is like, you look at all these like doctors that you see at like your primary care doctor, any doctor you've seen for any injuries, that kind of thing. You'll look and it's like everything just looks so put together. Uh, but you don't start there by any means. Like you show up on your first day after med school and you're like, wow, I actually don't really know what's going on. Like you learn all this stuff, but you don't know how to actually put it into practice. And it's like the first the first month that I'm just like taking all the calls, like going and seeing all these patients, like you have absolutely no idea what's going on until you start just like it eventually comes to you, you start to figure it out. But it's that same kind of like showing up on day one of college and being like, well, I guess we'll just try to work as hard as we can, but we don't really know how this stuff kind of goes. So um, yeah, it's the same, like I said, time management, leadership, work ethic, just showing up on time, all of these little things that will help you stand out. And it's no one of those things that you don't even really think about, but then you get there and it's like, yeah, that it makes a big difference, and it definitely sets you apart from people that don't have that.
Totally. That discipline that seemed to have been ingrained in you from like day one undergrad has you haven't been able to give that up at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just at some point it's your personality, and you have that, or you just, or I guess you don't. So that gets ingrained into you from playing sports growing up too.
Well, that is all the questions I had. I feel like I learned so much from this, Dr. Fitz. I really appreciate it. Your journey was perfect for an interview for athletes in practice. So
Honestly, when you brought it up, I was like, yeah, I'm all in on this. This is great.
yeah.